Hello and welcome to this week's Rap Attack. I'm Sam.
I'm Shane.
And I got through that correctly. It's week 13, unlucky for some, but with our help, hopefully it'll be lucky for you guys. For the listeners, Sam has his fingers crossed.
Yeah, we all do. I think,
there
right?
you go. It's the last quarter of the season. It's upon us.
Yeah, I mean, the last game of the regular season for, I'd say, most players. I mean, there was kind of three-week playoffs at least, right?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes there's like 4-week playoffs. So for some people, they're already starting the playoffs this week.
Wow, shit, I didn't even think of that.
I know.
Shit.
I mean, the playoffs start next week in our league, man.
Oh, holy fuck.
I know. Actually,
I didn't put two and two together.
Yeah, 2 of my 3 leagues, they start next week.
Yeah, shit, mine
so this
too.
This is it. Like, this is, for us, at least for most people, I think this is your last chance to get into the playoffs.
Right.
Otherwise, you're just playing for scraps.
Yeah. Wow, I did not think about that at all. I mean, not that it really changes my strategy. I mean, I play to win.
Yeah, of course, man.
But still.
And eat chicken.
And eat chicken,
At least on Thanksgiving.
We had our big Thanksgiving blowout with, thanks to the Colonel, a lot of beer and a good, if slightly hot, feed on the projector. It worked well.
Yeah, it did. If only the games had been a little bit better.
They were two massive blowouts, really, weren't they?
Yeah, lucky there was lots of beer.
There was. It was. That
dulled the pain.
It dulled the pain, especially as a Dallas fan.
Yeah, Romo probably needed quite a bit of that.
I'm guessing he somehow had to numb the pain.
Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't talk Cowboys too long, but I mean, the Cowboys are probably out of it now, no? With Tony
Yeah,
gone.
I think so.
I mean,
I can't. I mean, they could easily go through the rest of the schedule without a win.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think about Romo like long term as well, right? I mean, rushing him back. Did they rush him back? Is this going to hurt the rest of his career? Do the Cowboys trade for Johnny Manziel?
Yeah.
All these things. I mean, it will change the world, yeah?
It will.
The football world.
Well, the Dallas world.
Yeah, exactly.
And speaking of Manziel, what do you think is going to happen with him over in Cleveland now that McCown's out with a Tony Romo injury? He's fractured his clavicle, hasn't he?
Right?
He's out for the season.
Yeah, it is a gong show in Cleveland as always. I mean, that game was just...
The kick six.
The kick six. I do love that term, man.
It's the most Browns thing ever.
I saw they picked up Terrell Pryor the other day. And the whole thing is, where are they gonna play him? Wide receiver, quarterback? No, he's gonna defend against the kick six.
Yeah, exactly.
So he can chase down the guy when they lose the game-winning field goal. God, insane, actually. But yeah, with Manziel, I mean, they've kind of painted themselves into a corner, haven't they?
I think so. I mean, if you're benching him and making him third choice, it seems ridiculous to then make him your starter.
Mm-hmm. It does, sort of. I mean, you're punishing him for being an alcoholic, basically, which he has to learn his lesson, obviously.
Fair enough. There's responsibilities involved.
Exactly. So if you put him back in there as a starter this week, what are you teaching him?
What's it saying?
Nothing.
Exactly. And also, I mean, it seems a really... Okay, I'm not likening him to a dog, but when you're training a dog or anything like that, or even when you're bringing up a child, you can't give... You got to be coherent and you got to be...
consistent.
Yeah, you got to be consistent, right?
Exactly.
You can't say you're an asshole one week and say, by the way, you're the head of our franchise for the next 4 weeks.
Exactly. Well, it is the dog pound, so I think we can compare him.
Oh, so we can. So there you go. Without being called at all judgmental.
I mean, if it's the Cowboys, they start Manziel, of course, because who cares about personal problems, right?
Exactly.
But I don't know. I'd be tempted to start Manziel, obviously. I mean, what's his name?
Austin Davis.
Looked okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't for that slide at the sideline.
Oh, God, that was
beyond.
fucking stupid.
But I mean, he looked okay beyond that. I mean, I'll see. We'll see what happens.
Sure.
I start Manziel because I'm Jerry Jones, right?
Right, exactly. And you want to see what he's got.
Exactly.
I mean, I guess. I mean, on the other hand, if you still do have an idea to keep Johnny Football around, you've got to give him some extended play to see whether he can do it.
Exactly. Are they going to need another quarterback?
Are they going to need another quarterback?
Should they get rid of him?
Just keep him on a very tight leash. Fucking just hire him a handler and someone to wipe his ass every day and just make sure he comes to practice.
They don't have a handler for him, right? They
You
must
would have thought so.
Something. Anyway, on to bigger and better things, my friend.
How did you do this week?
Let's not talk too long. 1 and 2 again. I think that's 2 weeks in a row, my friend. Yeah, limping to the finish line in my leagues, it feels like.
Yeah.
7 and 5 in 2 of my leagues, 8 and 4 in 1. And yeah, the one that I won this week was our league, right?
Yeah.
By 0.9 points or something like that.
Wow, yeah. That was a close one.
Exactly. And Gronk got me just enough points before going out.
Before going out.
I had the big day from Jarvis Landry.
Who's your backup for Gronk?
I got Cam Wilson. So I'm actually sitting pretty.
Greg Olsen.
Greg Olsen.
Oh, nice.
I'm sitting
Wow.
pretty there. Although I've been using him in my flex slot most weeks.
Yeah.
So it does hurt me, but I can make up for it. But I got Gronk in another league. I've got no idea what I'm going to do. Of course, I had nobody on my bench. I'm trying to pick up a few guys. Yeah, I mean, I'm in a lot of trouble in my leagues. It's just, it seems like all of my stars, like Todd Gurley, for example, peaked too soon.
Yep.
Teams have adapted to the Rams not having any kind of passing game, and now
Yep.
Gurley's not getting any points. And the Rodgers, the world, Aaron
Sure.
Rodgers is just not
These
getting
people that
any-
you were relying on earlier, or could rely on.
Yeah, exactly. Or even Des Bryant in one of my leagues. I held
Sure.
on to him all year just for when Tony comes back, and now Tony's gone, and now what do? I need a win this week in like 2 of my leagues to get into the playoffs. I can't hold a guarantee a playoff spot. So I mean, I've got a lot of questions. I'm going to be biting my nails.
Biting your nails for this week.
How'd you do?
Went 3-0 again.
Yeah.
I'm loving it. I'm in 9-3, I think, in all 3 of my leagues.
Yeah.
Or maybe 8-4 in one of them. So yeah, I'm looking good. I went off for 193 points and left about 50 on the bench. I had in our league, I left the Panthers on the bench, Matt Stafford, and Sammy Watkins, who is killing me on a weekly basis.
Yeah, you got him in there when he sucks, and you got him on your bench when he goes off.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I've
pretty much.
noticed that.
It
Yeah.
is killing me.
190 in our league is a pretty good total.
Yeah, so in one of my leagues, Gronk is out, but I just found out that I managed to pick up Chandler.
Oh, should be
So
fine.
I think he should be a safe-ish
1
start.
week start.
Yeah, exactly. I know it sounds like Gronk's only out for a week, so it shouldn't be too bad. I mean, he looked as though he was in a lot more pain, but it looks as though it's just a bruise rather than any tear.
Yeah, they're talking about a pain management issue, right?
Yeah, and with Gronk, I think you can expect him to be able to manage that pain, you know.
Have you seen all this news about him like getting picked on by the ref?
Well, yeah,
He
apparently.
tweeted I didn't see what the tweet was.
Yeah, he was complaining because he got flagged for 5 offensive pass interferences, and there's like no team has been flagged for 5 offensive pass interferences in one game this season.
Right.
So it's like
They're picking on him.
yeah, I was listening to the Around the NFL podcast this morning. There's like it's the Shaq rule in basketball, like the Shaq attack. They had to bring in a new rule or
to slow a guy
to
down.
stop a guy down, or else it's ridiculous. I mean, and he is so good in that he can do that. So, I mean, I think when you are such a good player,
You have to
the
expect
refs are going to
extra
be
focus,
exactly. The refs are going to be focused on you, but yeah, he'll be fine, I think. Yeah. Okay, and so now it's time to look at what went right and what went wrong with our rankings in week 12. And we were looking at Liz Loza over on Yahoo. Chicks Picks. And it was, well, let's go through it.
I think we did pretty bad.
Yeah, I don't think I did particularly.
I think we got beat by a girl.
Yeah, I think so. It just goes to show that we don't know what we're talking about, and that's why she's a professional and we're not.
Exactly. So who do we have underrated? You had...
I went with Jameis.
Okay, off his 5 touchdown game, you thought he'd continue it.
Yep, he was ranked 18th. I thought he'd be in the top 10, and he ended up 21st.
Not in the top 10.
No, clearly not in the top 10, not unless you double it.
Yeah.
He got shut down by Indianapolis.
Yeah, a little
See, I
surprising.
called them Indianapolis. I didn't call them Indiana.
Well done, my friend.
Bonus points
they
to me.
don't play for the state, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't really know how the Colts D managed. But
No,
they
it's the first time they kind of showed up. Well, I mean, okay, it's only the Bucks, so it's not drastic, but still.
Yeah, well, we kind of had the same problem. I went Hoyer, right?
Right.
Who was ranked 13th. He ended up 18th, so another swing and a miss, a couple hundred yards, a couple of TDs, but he threw that pick.
Yep.
Yeah, they were up against pretty weak pass defense from what I remember.
Who was it? I can't remember.
The Ravens?
No.
The Ravens had the Browns. I
Can't
remember picking Hoyer because the Texans were up against the weakest pass D, or one of the weakest pass Ds in the league. And so I really thought he would go off. I was actually quite confident in a Hoyer pick.
You've got Hopkins, and with Hopkins, you always have a chance.
Yeah, week to week he can go off because you got the nuke, right? But I mean, he didn't do what we hoped.
No.
I mean, if you started him, you probably weren't losing because of him. But definitely a swing and a miss. Oh yeah, I was against the Saints. Jesus.
So that's why you'd expect him to be so much higher.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I can't really kick myself for the pick.
No, I think that was a right pick to make, and you expect any quarterback against the Saints to do something.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
overrated. Oh, you got something else there?
No, I was going to say, I mean, just very briefly on the Saints. I mean, do you think it's time they blow up that place and start again? I mean, it seems like there's something wrong there. I mean,
It does. I mean, with Breeze
do you trade
winding
Breeze?
down, no, I mean, I don't know. They're going to have to make some moves, obviously. But you're right. The franchise itself seems to be on the wrong.
There's something
wrong
wrong with
track,
Payton. I mean, I think trading away Graham was a big problem.
Yeah, it's left a big hole in their offense.
It really has. It really has.
Well,
Because I mean, if you look at their offensive weapons, They should have
Yeah,
enough.
they got them. They've
They've got Ingram,
Cooks,
they've got Spiller, they've got Cooks, they've got Willie Snead. These people that can contribute. They've even got Breed. I mean, it's their defense that is horrendous.
Rob Ryan, right?
Rob Ryan,
Yeah.
but no longer.
No longer. He got fired.
He got fired. Yeah,
there
he
you
got
go.
fired. Now he's doing color for NFL.com.
Well, that's well. All right. Our overrated last week, I had Mark. Speaking of the Saints, I had Mark Ingram. Yeah.
You had Mark Ingram.
He was ranked 5th against the Texans, right? I guess I made this
Sure.
hit, right? 17th in standard, right?
Yeah.
Only 9 points.
It was
Not bad in PPR.
Yeah, I mean that's what you expect from Ingram. He's going to get you, in PPR. He's really, he's excellent.
Yeah, he's almost an RB1 in PPR, but when it comes to standard, he's borderline.
more dodgy.
Right? And
Yeah, with
last
that
week
one.
he was a low-end RB2, right?
Yeah.
Who'd you have?
I had Martavis Bryant.
All right.
I was worried with him, and that's why he was ranked 19th, and I thought actually that was overrated because I thought going into Seattle he's going to be shut down. Both he and Brown shut down, but in the end, I mean, it was a straight shootout up there.
It was, wasn't it?
I mean, I think Big Ben threw for 450 or something like that, and 4 TDs.
Enough, right?
Enough. So Bryant actually ended up 17th, and
Slight miss.
yeah, it was a basic miss. He would have been even less productive had he not got that sneaky end around touchdown, and which kind of saved him in terms of fantasy
So
purposes.
would have made it a hit for you if he didn't get that.
Exactly. So damn him.
So you
But
can't
on the
count.
other
It
hand,
doesn't count.
I was starting in one of my leagues over Watkins. So I'm kind of glad.
So you weren't even listening to your own advice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my redemption that I was happy to do.
So who are we looking at this week? Whose rankings?
We are this week, week 13. We're looking at back over at CBS. We're looking at Jamie Eisenberg.
Oh, back to the well, yeah.
Yeah, back to the well.
Yeah, he's a good one to look at, I think.
I think so. He's one of the two that one of the main ones I trust.
So my overrated this week, I'm going to say, is Eli Manning.
Eli.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at the rankings. Nobody jumped out, but Eli, to tell you the truth. I mean, he had him ranked 9th. And then you look at their opponent, it's the Jets. Of course, I mean, the big question when you talk about the defense of the Jets, at least this week, is Darrelle Revis, right?
Sure.
Apparently, he's been very, very slow going through the concussion protocol.
Okay.
I mean, you never want to rush somebody through it. It's the concussion protocol. Thank God they're doing something about it. But it is a confusing game or protocol, I guess is the word I got to use.
It
right?
does seem strange.
And so there's these phases they go through, and everybody goes through them differently depending on your concussion as well. And apparently he's having a tough. I don't know if he got through phase 1, but he had a tough time getting through phase 1.
Right.
And therefore he missed last week.
Yeah.
He's still questionable this week. I think if Revis starts, definitely there's no way. Well, I can't say definitely, but I definitely don't put Eli in the top 10. He's not a QB1.
Yeah, he was
going
all
up
right
against
last
the
week.
Jets. Well, yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, Eli week to week could go off. You got Odell Beckham, right?
You never know.
But I'm not going to take him as a QB1.
Cool.
How about yourself? What do you got for overrated?
I'm going with Russell Wilson.
All right.
Hybrid.
Man of the 5 TDs last week, yeah?
Man of the 5 touchdowns. Yeah. He was so I mean that was a breakout game for him. That was fantastic for him. Well, not breakout.
Yeah,
he was good,
Baldwin's been looking really good.
Baldwin looking great.
It's insane, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's. I don't expect to have two of those massive games again.
So yeah, we got a guy who's borderline QB1 this week, right?
He's
ranked
borderline.
13th.
Yeah, he's ranked 13th. I think it's a little bit too high for me. I see him in that maybe sort of that 15 to 17 range.
Okay.
Minnesota, we know, have got a fantastic defense, especially all across the board, really.
Yeah.
Graham's out. I mean, okay, that's maybe not too much of an issue, but it does take away a target.
Well, obviously, it's your big target. Even Doug Baldwin, I guess, has been. But
Sure.
I mean, you take away your best, let's say, offensive weapon. You got to expect some
Yeah.
kind of regression to the mean, let's say, right?
So I think he'll be a bit low.
I think you're right. I think people are going to look at those 5 touchdowns last week and go, "Oh my God, get him in there."
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd bench him for sure in a 1 quarterback league.
Yeah, I think so.
Definitely. So how about our underrated?
Underrated. Okay, so I'll go first. I'm going with Djax, Deshaun Jackson.
All right.
He's
He's
Jamie
been looking
Eisenberg's.
better and better, hasn't
He
he?
has. He's got him all the way down at 31, which I think is really low.
That is.
At home to Dallas.
Yeah.
And they've got a good chance of cementing first place in the NFC East this week, so they should be up for it. He went for 87 and a touchdown against the Panthers 2 weeks ago, so we know that Kurt likes him and that he can throw it to Jackson even against good secondaries. And he got 66 and a touchdown against the Giants,
Right.
and
Yeah,
that
he
gave
seems to
you
be 12 points. Right? He
Gave
seems
you
to
12
get
points.
faster and faster every week.
Yeah.
And that's what he relies on: is his speed.
Exactly.
Fully recovered from the injury.
Exactly. 12 points means you're a top 20 wide receiver this week in standard, and I can see him going for sort of similar numbers again, between 60 and 70 and a touchdown. The word of warning on him, or the question on him, is that he does rely on that big play, deep ball.
Yeah.
In those 2 games, in those last 2, it's only 7 receptions, and he's catching about 50% of his targets. So, I mean, I think that if he can get loose and free himself up from a defender and burn past, I mean, he's got the speed.
Yeah, he's one of those guys who's going to, last 2 weeks in a row, he's had a big, long touchdown, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean...
He can take the top off a defense.
Yeah, he's that kind of guy.
He's like Mike Wallace, but good.
More or less.
More or less. I mean, he's that type of person. He's a deep threat.
Yeah, I'd trust him as a wide receiver too, I think, this week, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's a safe wide receiver too. So I think 31's way too low. I'd be happy with him sort of in that, like I said, that 18 to 20, 17 to 21 range, something like that. And you?
Well, just as we both went quarterbacks for overrated, we're going to both go wide receivers are underrated.
Fair enough.
I'm going with Jarvis Landry. Recency bias, my friend.
Recency bias.
As we always warn against. But, I mean, I saw him ranked at number 21. And he's going up against the Ravens, giving up the 3rd most points in the league to wide receivers. Sure, I mean, last week he did amazing, right?
Yeah.
It was 13 catches, 165 yards, a touchdown.
Guessing that was his best game of the season.
I believe, by a lot. Fantasy-wise, like 35 points in that league, I think.
Wow.
Right? And yeah, okay, a lot of it might have come in garbage time. They were down by quite a bit. But he was also playing through, I suppose, a knee injury. It was a game-time decision, right?
Wow.
So he's held out of practice last week. He went nuts. I think I'm going to fall victim to recency bias here and say he's definitely a top 20 wide receiver against the Ravens, yeah.
Nice. And now, as always, it's time to look at our fantasy kryptonite and fantasy catnip, and we'll start with looking back at week 12 as always. So let's start with catnip. Who did you have?
I had T.J. Yeldon.
Okay.
He was he's ranked. He was ranked in the top 10.
So you liked him, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, for sure. Again, he was going up against a weak run defense. I thought he was a pretty surefire hit. Actually,
yeah.
I was starting him with confidence last week in my league. As we know, he didn't really do so hot.
He didn't. Ended up outside the top 25.
Yeah,
7 points.
Nothing great.
82 total yards.
Swing and a miss.
Swing and a miss.
How about yourself?
Javorius Allen. I liked Buck. I thought he was going to go buck wild at the Browns.
Yeah.
They don't have a throwing game. Well, they didn't up until then, and then Aiken caught a couple of balls. And
Aiken's been looking pretty darn good.
That's not too bad. And Given's got something.
Yeah, those bombs. Yeah.
Exactly.
Anyway,
and obviously being thrown to by Schaub. So
yeah.
The funny thing is with Schaub, like he throws it and he's got a good arm on him. God, he makes bad decisions.
Yeah, of course. Another pick six last week.
Another pick six.
He's like a pick six machine.
He is. So I went with Buck Allen at the Browns. He was ranked 13th, and he ended up 12th.
Yeah.
So it was a push.
Yeah, I did see the touchdown reception. He actually was great. Like he split like 2 defenders twice.
Yeah, it was very nice, wasn't it?
So yeah, I mean, you were satisfied if you started Javorius. So.
Yeah, he was a running back, low running back 1, high running back 2. It's good. 85 total yards and a touchdown. It's good. He's just I thought he was going to go off for a lot more against the Browns.
And our kryptonites last week, I had Matt Forte, running back, of course, for the Bears, coming back from injury. I mean, he was ranked in the 20s. 20 range for most people, and that's,
you were wary of that.
Yeah, it makes him an RB2, and like I was thinking, flex at most, and he wound up outside the top 30. Yeah,
he did.
4
points.
Yards, split carries with Langford, just as we said.
Yeah,
Langford picked up the TD,
and I think that's what we'll see going forward.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they're gonna. I mean, they will continue to split the carries, I believe. I mean, maybe even leaning towards Forte, but Langford looks like the goal line back.
Yeah, no, I think that's the way it's going to go.
I'm going to keep Langford starting week to week in my 20-team league at least.
I think in 20-team is a start for sure.
Yeah. I mean, even 16, I suppose.
Yeah,
18,
I'd have flexed it. Yeah, definitely.
How about yourself?
I went with Vernon Davis. I thought he was ranked way too high at 14th. I mean, he's not for me a startable tight end anywhere at all.
Yeah, there's always the talk about Vernon turning it around, but he didn't last week.
I can't see it. I mean, he went for 1 point, 1 reception for 10 yards.
Well outside the top.
Well outside the top 40. I mean, you're looking at it and you actually think, well, maybe San Francisco were right to get rid of him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they got a 6th round pick out of it.
Yeah.
So if you can get another okay, so 6th round, it's a crapshoot when you get after the 5th round in the draft, but still, it's an extra draft
pick.
and
exactly. A lottery ticket.
and if you're throwing it away for someone who hasn't done much for the last 2 seasons, and with Blaine Gabbert under centre, they do like their tight ends. I mean, they use Vance McDonald's, Garrett Selleck. There was even a third guy I cannot remember the name of that caught about 60 yards
last week.
Yeah, last week. So they like it, and Gabbert's the redemption of Gabbert is starting.
It is kind of crazy. You got Gabbert.
I think that they might even re-sign him.
Yeah, well, he's looking all right.
I think if you re-sign him and you go out, and they're going to be probably picking within the top 5.
Yeah, I think you're. I have to say that game last week. I was watching the score, and the Niners must have given you hope right to the fourth.
It was It was that late slow touchdown sneak by Palmer.
Yeah, a slow motion rollout sneak Palmer. That was That was a classic.
And then he tripped over when he was spiking.
Oh
the ball.
God, that looked hilarious, didn't it?
It's fantastic.
Bigger and better things. We should look forward, I guess. Here.
Yeah, week 13, catnip.
Catnip. What do you got?
I've got actually Lamar Miller.
All right.
He's been my catnip previously, and I hit on that one big. This was when Dan Campbell came in, and I thought, it's basically for the same reasons. You look at the statistics. When he plays, when he gets over 100 yards, they win. Yep. And he's had those 2 big games this season. Those were Dan Campbell's first 2 games. Granted, I think they're against Jacksonville and Houston, so they're not against great teams, or Tampa Bay and Houston. But you can only beat what's put in front of you. Yeah,
when they feed them the ball, they win.
Exactly. I was looking at some stats for this, and I'll just read them off you. So the other thing is obviously that Bill Lazor's now gone.
So because he wasn't running the ball.
Exactly, wasn't running the ball.
So the new guy's being told, run the ball, or you'll be fired.
I think so. So we can see Miami have no run game. They're 27th in the league in terms of average running yards per game at 91.7. They run it the least in the league, only 18 per game, which is really low. But interesting, in yards per attempt, they're actually in the top 7. So along with KC and Buffalo, these teams who we kind of traditionally think as having good running games. So when they do run it, they actually get quite a lot of yards. I think it's almost like 5 yards a carry, which isn't bad. And like I said, when he goes over 100 yards, they win. It's that simple. Yeah. The Ravens are good against the run. I think they're in the top 5 or something like that. But still, I think coming into this game, you're not going to try to do anything new. Tannehill is questionable. Use Miller.
I really hope you're right. I've got Miller going in one of my leagues. He's one of my horses, and he's another one of those guys who, he peaked when they made the coaching change. He was going up, and I was really feeling good about my team. I had Miller and Gurley in my backfield, and then all of a sudden they went away from the run again. If Miller gets the carries, I'll be a happy man. So I pray that he is catnip this week.
Me too.
I need him.
Who have you got?
I went far less analytical than you, my friend.
Okay.
I basically took a dartboard random here. I went with Randall Cobb.
Okay.
There's no logic here. The Lions are pretty decent against the pass, surprisingly enough.
Yeah.
Cobb hasn't broke 100 yards since week 2. Half of his 6 TDs came in week 3.
Wow. How many? So he's got 4 or 4 total on the year?
He's got 6 total.
He's got 6
total
total
in that one game.
Okay, so he's got 6 total on the year.
Yeah. So this is a complete gut feeling.
Right.
The Packers are going to break out eventually.
This is going to be a fuck you game.
I need it, and I need Rodgers in one of my leagues. So this is all just me playing my gut. I think Cobb will be the guy that he's going to go to. Rodgers is going to throw it a lot.
Yeah.
Cobb's going to be the guy. This is just a gut. I have to admit that I just hope it happens.
Yeah, like coming into this game, if you were just looking at their statistics, you'd probably go with the Lions.
Yeah.
And especially as it's in the dome at home.
Yep.
But you can't bet against the Pack going in there and just putting up 50 against them just because they feel like it.
Yeah.
Lacey's looking good now, finally.
Yeah, they can establish a running game, and then they're going to have. I'm telling you now, Cobb's going to go off. I don't know why, he just is.
Alrighty, you heard it here. Possibly first, possibly not. Kryptonite.
Kryptonite. Who are we going to stay away from this week? I'm going to stay away from Giovanni Bernard.
Oh, okay.
I know, this is one of those guys that's had a really good year, yeah?
Yeah, he has actually.
He's
coming into it, we were thinking that Hill was going to be the running back one.
The season, yeah. It looked like Hill took the job fully away, but as this year went along, Gio just looked really good.
Yeah.
He's ranked, low 20s, 23-ish. But I think it is Jeremy Hill time again.
Right.
Since Gio's going to get less and less work Especially, I mean, he had an important fumble. At the time, it was an important fumble. They wound up blowing him out. But he had an important fumble. He finished with only 16 yards last week and 10 carries.
Wow.
Yeah.
1.6 yards.
It's kind of like alarm bells going off. Hill went for 86 on 16 carries.
Right. So
if you look at the last 3 weeks, Hill's increased from 7 carries, 13 carries to 16 carries.
So it's going up.
Exactly. You look at Gio, I mean, I wrote down the last 5 weeks. He had 1 carry 5 weeks ago, 13, then 8, then 6, then 10.
So we can see where the carries are going.
Yeah, I think you're getting later in the year. The bigger back has been well rested. I think Jeremy Hill's going to be the guy who's going to carry the load. Yeah.
Right.
And yeah, I know that you say, well, Gio's he catches the cat. He's a pass catching back.
Yeah.
He did have 8 grabs for 150 yards, 151, I think, 2 weeks ago. But he only had 2 catches last week.
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, this is a bit of a gut. I just see the trend as well with this one. I'm going to say bench Gio Bernard if you've got a better option, especially outside of PPR.
If you had to choose between Bernard and Hill, would you go sort of Hill in standard and Bernard in PPR?
Definitely in standard. PPR is where, I think this is tougher. I'm even going to say Hill over Bernard.
Okay, because of the ground yards.
Exactly. This is just my gut.
Sure.
I say stay away from Gio if you can.
Okay.
Who do you got?
I got Jacob Tammy.
All right.
This is
tight end.
Yeah, this is what you might call low hanging fruit.
Okay.
He's ranked 11th by Jamie Eisenberg. They're against the Bucks, so the Bucks are average against opposing tight ends. I just don't. He's not a legitimate catcher, really. I don't think.
He's definitely not Tony Gonzalez.
He's definitely not Tony Gonzalez, and then they are missing a tight end since then. And also, I was reading something on ESPN that it very much kind of depends on Leonard Hankerson playing. With Hankerson out and those 3 games that he's missed out of the last 4, Tammy's gone for at least 5 receptions for 60 yards in the games Hankerson's missed.
Okay,
but in that game when Hankerson played, he was on 1 for 16.
So when they have another target, they don't have to throw.
They don't need to throw to him. I mean, Julio Jones is obviously target 1, 1A, 1B, and possibly B and C as well.
Yeah.
Hankerson actually is okay as a complementary wide receiver, but and it looks like he's going to be back this season, this week. So that for me is a reason why I think Tammy takes a hit, and he's slow. I don't think you're ever starting him.
Falcons kind of scream stay away as well recently now.
Yeah, exactly. There's even rumors that Ryan might be benched.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's been throwing picks all over the place. Right?
He has. I mean, I think that's more about the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, very predictable. I was reading about how they're just a very predictable team, and as the year goes by, teams get more and more tape, and they adjust.
Fine.
And so it's almost their predictability makes it predictable that they will decline over the year.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's Ryan's a good quarterback. I think he's not elite.
He's top 10 for sure. Right?
Sure, he's absolutely top 10. I mean, if you put it in absolute quality, because we can see what he's got when he's got an offensive line and 2 wide receivers.
Yeah, they're missing Roddy White too. Let's face it.
I mean, he's fallen off.
Steep decline.
Yeah,
this year,
it really has been.
Kind of a dumpster fire.
Yeah, I think so. And now it's time for
Game
of
Intrigue.
Bum bum bum.
Well done. Who do you got for the most interesting game this week, Sam?
Well, it's not maybe an obvious one, but the one that stands out for me from a fantasy perspective in terms of question marks about starts and sits and stuff, it's the Chiefs at Raiders. To
tell you the truth, I was looking at that game, and it's not just fantasy. I mean, we're talking an AFC West battle here, right? It's important for even playoff contention.
They're both frisky teams, actually. They're both, I mean, for different reasons, they're fun to watch in a way. I mean, even Alex Smith was throwing bombs this week.
Macklin is hooking up with them, and it sees like any kind of running back can run for them.
Exactly.
And then the Raiders are always just the Raiders. You never know what's going to happen.
You never know what's going to happen. So KC had a great offensive day against Rex Ryan's fabled D last week. Macklin had his best game since week 4, and I think looks like a pretty good start against the Raiders. Spencer Ware went for 114 and a touchdown, and I think he's probably going to see reduced workload this week because West is going to be back, Chuck Hendricks is going to be back. He was actually a last-minute scratch. It was a game-time decision on his hamstring, so you'd expect him to be probable going into this week or questionable. He'll start, but I think he'll be limited. Whether they go running back by commission for this one is a moot point, I think. By committee, by commission sounds like you've got the Warren Commission on.
Well, I think this is the most interesting thing for fantasy players.
Sure.
I mean, what's going to happen in the running back situation?
Right.
I mean, West came in and did so great, and then you just plug in Ware, who nobody even heard of 3 weeks ago. And he's a big boy.
Yeah, he is.
I think even if West is back, if you've got Ware in your team, I think you're going to think about starting because he's the goal line back.
He is.
KC can run the ball. I mean, I've been reading.
And will.
Oh, exactly. I've been reading about how Andy Reid supposedly doesn't like the RBBC.
Right. He prefers running with the hot hand of the big.
Exactly.
Big
but I can't see how he won't stay with both. I mean, especially if West isn't completely 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, as a fantasy player, I do have West on only one of my teams.
Right. I think I got him on 2 and Ware on 1.
So I mean, you really, it's going to be a tough call.
Yeah.
I think it is very interesting, and it's going to win and lose a lot of weeks this week.
I think so because it's no, definitely, and it might sort of, because it's the possibility of them splitting carries, it might warn people off starting either of them, and then you could get that.
One guy's going to go for 120 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Exactly. and then also you've got Kelsey. He was also questionable in week 12, but he looked good, back to his normal stuff. 60 yards and a touchdown, and up against the Raiders, so he's an obvious tight end start.
Raiders tight end defense, yeah. So Kelsey could go crazy,
Yeah.
On the other side of the ball.
On the other side of the ball, well, I mean, they're an interesting wide receiver receiver good team, aren't they? They've looked nice.
Yeah.
Amari
Cooper is just
Cooper's great.
A great rookie. Although, last few weeks, he's another one of those guys who's kind of killing my team.
Yeah.
He's not quite performing as I was hoping he would. I mean, of course, he hasn't sucked. But anyways, he's looking all right.
Yeah, so I mean, they were going against the Titans, who are really bad against wide receivers in general. But still, Cooper went for 115 yards. Crabtree made that lovely catch. TD catch. Saved his week. But it was this guy, Seth Roberts.
Yeah, that really made me angry. I was screaming at the TV a couple of times, if you remember, last week. I mean, Seth Roberts, like, vulturing touchdowns.
Literally, who the fuck?
But yeah, he did.
He was the fantasy man, 113 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs are dead last against wide receivers, giving up 27 points per game. Weirdly, though, they give up very few points to quarterbacks. I don't understand how that works.
Maybe they shut down tight ends and running backs altogether.
Possibly, it could be that. I don't know. So they're also good against the run. Murray, I think, will be limited. But, I think you're starting Cooper.
Well, you have to.
Crabtree probably as a flex.
No, I even got Crabtree as a wide receiver too. But yeah,
really, yeah, wow.
The big question is this Seth Roberts. Is he going to continue going?
Or will it go to that tight end Clive Wolford or something?
Yeah,
like that?
exactly. I don't think you can trust Seth outside of like 16-team leagues.
No, I don't think so. More like a 1 week wonder.
But yeah, it's let's face it. The Raiders are the Raiders, and they're good to watch.
They're fun to watch. It could be a tasty. It could be a tasty game this week.
No, I do agree.
Anyway, so which matchup have you gone for?
I've gone for the Seahawks against the Vikings.
Okay.
Seattle, Minnesota. I mean, there's a lot of talk about with Seattle. I mean, their team sitting at 6-5, I believe.
Yeah, 6-5.
6-5. A couple games behind the Cardinals.
I think they're currently in that number 6 spot
for the wild card.
And I think the who's really going to beat them out for the 6th spot? Atlanta?
Yeah, there's not much competition.
No.
I mean, there's the upper tier, and then there's everybody else in the NFC.
Pretty much.
But yeah, I mean, with Seattle, you got a few things to watch, right? I mean, you got obviously the 5-touchdown passing game last week. Doug Baldwin getting 3 of them, right?
Yeah, he looked fantastic.
143 yards, 3 touchdowns. Doug Baldwin. I mean, he's not going to do that again this week.
No.
But I mean, he's averaging over the last 3 games 110 yards, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a little bit over a touchdown because thanks to the 3 touchdowns last week, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, he's the number 1 wide receiver, gobbling up a lot of looks. The Vikings should limit Seattle's air game a bit more efficiently than the Steelers, of course.
Yeah, I mean, the Steelers don't have a secondary.
No. I mean, so Russell Wilson's not going to go off for 35 points.
Yeah.
But again, interesting to see how he comes back after his big game.
Yeah.
The Vikings don't give up that many points to RBs is another thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Thomas Rawls?
Thomas Rawls,
yeah. Thomas Rawls. I mean, I can't see him getting his 100-yard game, but again, let's see how the guy continues. I mean, he's been a machine, right?
He has. I mean, if you get 15 points out of him, you're going, 90 and a touchdown, or 150 and nothing, or something like that. I think it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, just the way Rawls finishes the year is, I think, interesting for fantasy owners, especially in dynasty leagues, right?
In dynasty leagues, I mean, I've heard rumors that Lynch is going to be out at the end of the season.
This is the thing, right?
And it shows that how I guess hard-nosed and harsh, especially the running back position is. I mean, you go with the guy, and it's next man up. It really is.
It has been. I mean, you look at Kansas City, you look at Chicago, you look at all these teams.
Exactly.
They've had success with their backup running backs. Right?
And the moment someone goes out, I mean, especially these older ones, like like Lynch, Forte is a little bit as well.
And teams not. I mean, they're going to be gun shy making the big investments with these guys.
Sure.
Right? And as we see, the league is going towards this, like replaceable running backs. Right?
I think so.
Young guys
plug and play.
Right? Exactly. The big news though in Seattle, of course, is Jimmy Graham being out.
Right. Well, it's big news in the sense that it's a big star player, but they're not losing much on offense.
It's true enough, right? I mean, it is funny. It's the wrong word, but I mean, Jimmy Graham just hasn't been that big a part of the offense. No. But it'll be interesting to see if it changes their team for the better.
Yeah, it could do.
Yeah,
it could do. More focus on the wide receivers.
Exactly, without the distraction of like thinking we have to get the ball to Jimmy.
Rather than trying to force it.
Mm-hmm.
It could be. I didn't think about it that way.
I could actually see Seattle reverting to the old Seahawks, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, who replaces his few targets? I mean, you got the rookie Lockett, right?
Yep.
You got Jerome Curse?
Yeah, Jerome Curse.
I'm having problems with first names.
Yeah, Jerome Curse.
What did I call Olsen? Camel.
Cam Olsen. That's an amalgamation of the two best players on that team.
It's the brain works in funny ways.
And Greg Newton.
Flip side, of course, we got the Minnesota Vikings, right? I mean, Teddy Bridgewater just hasn't really taken the big step forward this year.
Right.
I've been riding him all year in my 20-team league. As I was mentioning, I was even thinking about picking up Hasselbeck this week. He's consistently...
The unbeaten Hasselbeck.
Yeah, there you go. Bridgewater's just consistently below average.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the kid, Stephon Diggs, who's been doing all right, but, he just, the last few games, you feel like I can't trust him. So I'm curious to see if he can pick it up again, right?
Yeah. No, Diggs has been a bit, he had a good couple of games about 4 or 5 weeks ago when he was going off for 100
yeah,
and
exactly.
stuff.
He had a few games straight and then
He's a
suddenly
bit touchdown shy though, isn't he? Definitely. I mean, he gets the yards, but he doesn't get the touchdowns.
True enough. And this week, of course, going against the Seahawks.
Right.
You got to be a bit gun shy starting the guy.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how the kid does. We'll see, of course, what happens. I mean, of course, you always got Adrian Peterson too, right?
Sure. Who is essentially, who's your running and receiving option really at the moment.
And interesting, we'll talk about him a bit later. Kyle Rudolph has been looking really good as well.
Yeah.
I'm picking him up in my 10-team league this week to replace Gronk.
It's Rudolph's season.
Yeah, I mean, he's been doing... Look at you.
Boom!
Anyway, let's move on to the best part of the podcast.
It's time to climb up those stairs to the Fantasy Trust tree.
Do we have a letter this week?
We do have a letter this week.
Excellent.
Dear Rankings Attack, oh God, I'm in so much pain. I overate over the Thanksgiving weekend. It was good. It's my favorite holidays, Turkey, cranberry sauce, pumpkin pie, and then all those leftovers on the Friday and Saturday and Sunday watching the games, and too much alcohol. But man, that food is rich. And well, I don't want to be crude, but I'm having trouble going to the bathroom. I went last Thursday morning, so it's pushing 6 days. I'm a little backed up. What I'm saying is, essentially, I've got a tight end problem. I know there's no miracle cure, and I don't want to force it or overthink the issue, but it's making me quite uncomfortable. Which of these players do you think will relieve my tight end pain this week?
Oh, there is a lot of that pain this week, isn't there?
Yep. This is obviously in response to 2 star tight ends, Graham and Gronk going out, and then a host of other injuries.
Yeah, I mean, coming into the year, these are the 2 biggest names for the tight end.
Sure.
Graham and Gronk.
And
even now, Gronk, of course, number 1, right?
Yeah, and they both went out within 4 hours of each other.
So we're basically looking for the X-lax of the tight end.
The X-lax tight ends, people that will get you some long runs.
Look at you.
There you go.
So, I mean, the first guys to look at, obviously, the replacements, right?
Sure. Scott Chandler.
Oh, Scott Chandler over in the Patriots. I mean, he's had some pretty good games, even with
he has.
playing, right?
Yeah. I mean, and especially with questionable wide receivers, with Amendola questionable targets. Yeah,
left and right. Yeah.
We know that Belichick and Brady like a tight end.
Okay, all right. And then over in Seattle, who's the replacement?
Luke Wilson.
Oh yeah, Luke. I remember that name. He's really injury prone.
He's injury prone, and he's a blocking tight end, really.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not.
So Chandler's going up against the Eagles, and Wilson's going up against the Vikings. How are the Eagles against tight ends?
Eagles are actually second best against tight ends. They only give up 3.9 points per game. So on that respect, maybe temper your expectations. On the other hand, look, he's not going to be a Gronk, but he's going to fit in there. He went for 5 for 58 and a touchdown against the Broncos. I think he's got 3 or 4 touchdowns for the season.
Yeah, he has had his games, and he does get points. I was even reading that most of that production came while Gronk was still in there.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
I mean, I take Gronk out, and I mean, yeah, Chandler's going to get some points. I like him. Luke Wilson.
Less so.
Vikings, yeah?
Less so.
Graham, like it says, I mean, like we said, he just hasn't worked in this offense.
Yep.
So the tight end doesn't really have a spot.
No, they don't. And I think, like you were saying just now, actually what you'll find is that it will probably, those targets, rather than going to a replacement tight end, will go to the other wide receivers. So Curse, like Lockett or something. For Lockett or Baldwin or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I actually wouldn't even compare him to Luke. I mean, I would definitely take Scott Chandler first.
No, I would. Out of those two, yeah. But I think...
Even against the Eagles, I think it's an easy pick.
I would say, if you had to choose between those two, then sure, Scott Chandler. And, just Chandler's going to be on most people's waivers wires.
Yeah.
I picked him up this morning.
Yeah, there you go.
So it shouldn't be too bad.
So the quick guys will get him, so you got to look elsewhere.
You got to look elsewhere. And, well, there's one that you like and one that I like. You're, like you were saying, you're kind of tasty on Rudolph.
Yeah, Kyle Rudolph has been looking really good the last few weeks. I got a waiver wire claim on him in one or two of my leagues. And so, yeah, I'm kind of hoping Kyle goes off. And so I'd trust Kyle this week.
Right.
I don't think it was this league, actually.
It was a different league.
But, yeah, so I do like Kyle. Especially, I mean, if he's available in your league, I'd say pick him up right now, yeah?
Okay, interesting.
And you noticed another name, yeah?
Yeah, Cameron Brait.
What the hell does that mean?
I know, he's an unknown to the extent that he doesn't even have a picture on CBS Sports' rankings,
Okay.
which always goes to show you on news, like Spencer Ware didn't have a photo last week.
Right.
But in the last 2 weeks, he's kind of doing okay, actually. I think he's gone off for... let me double check,
Well, yeah,
I think he's gone off for sort of over 60 and a touchdown in each one or something like that.
We keep expecting, what's his name, Austin Safarian Jenkins.
Yeah, we keep saying...
We keep expecting him to come back, and he just doesn't seem to be coming back, right?
No.
So, yeah, I mean, this Cameron Brait guy has been doing stuff the last few weeks, right?
He's only played in 4 games, so he was only activated in week 9.
All right.
In weeks 9 and 10, he only got 1 reception and limited yardage. Weeks 11 and 12, though, against Philly and Indiana, he's gone for 3 for 47 and a touchdown and 5 for 53 and a touchdown. So that's 2 weeks of double fantasy points.
You just said Indiana again, too.
Fuck!
But yeah, you got touchdowns back-to-back weeks, increasing your receptions back-to-back weeks. I mean, obviously we have to watch this Safarian Jenkins guy comes back. But if you're in a deep league, which I am, and I've got, what's his name, Jordan Cameron,
right,
my tight end. I'm actually going to probably take a look to see if this Brait guy's available.
Okay.
It's a pretty good pickup.
Yeah, no, it could be. So out of those 4, who do you like most this week?
I'm taking Rudolph this week.
Okay.
And I guess with Gronk probably only gone 1 week, I'm going to say, yeah, pick up Rudolph.
Pick up Rudolph and don't even bother. So because you like him over Chandler this week?
This week, yeah. And
okay.
Then, yeah, I mean, if you can't get Rudolph, if he's gone, then take Chandler second.
Yeah, that's how. I think for me, I'd probably swap. I'd probably reserve it. I may even go, actually, no, you know what, for me, I'd go Chandler, Bait, Rudolph, Wilson.
Wow, all right.
I think I don't rank Rudolph at all. He's touchdown dependent.
I think we should compare this next week.
We should have a look.
Notes.
Yeah, stick a bookmark in that and come back to it. Anyway, on that note, it's time to finish this week's Ranking Attack podcast, and there's going to be no podcast next week.
Oh no!
Because I'm flying off to the land of the Swedes.
Oh no! What are the people going to do in the
What are
first
the people
week?
going to do?
Make sure you read the write-up.
Yeah, the write-up's going to be up, and we'll be back in 2 weeks' time to give you all that you need for fantasy advice, and we're also going to try and work out a way to try and carry on with the podcast whilst over the Christmas period when I'm back in the UK. So
beautiful.
We'll
Skype and all, yeah?
We will see if technology allows us.
All right, brother.
See you later.